From Lewis in the Black Horse Pub. From Lewis in the Black Horse Pub.
Well, good morning. Welcome to Mirador Television, the Black Horse Inn, and our guest this morning, a very well-known figure around town, Steve Hope. And I made the mistake of saying to him that the two Bs, the two barristers, never tell me what they want to talk about because they like to try and trap me. And he immediately said, "That's me." So I haven't a clue what he's going to talk about, and he's going to try and catch me. That's what he's going to try and do. He's going to try and find some topic that I know absolutely nothing about.
Sure, we'll have things in common.
Welcome, Steve. This is quirky television.
It certainly is.
Not like nothing that anybody has ever experienced before, but some people think that it's absolutely foolish, and other people love it.
Well, yeah, you can't please them all.
And now you can't indeed. So we will try and please the faithful. We've got you until 9 o'clock. What do you want to talk about?
Oh, wow. Where to start? I mean, I've known you, Keith, for almost 2 years, and I've always kind of give you the little feeders without telling you the actual stories behind the feeders. There's many theories that I postulate over. But yeah, one important thing I wish to discuss is mental health. I mean, not just anyone's mental health.
Yeah.
I think mental health is a really serious issue in the current climate, in the current societal situation that we find ourselves in.
I think it is. I find myself stressed from time to time.
Dude, I've had points of struggling. I'll probably dip in and out of my story as we go along because it's pertinent to the mental health, to understanding how the human animal, your spaceship, works. Right. So for me, my belief, being a spiritual person and not a religious man, but I find spirituality as my healing modality.
Right.
We'll get to my dis-ease in a little while. Needless to say, becoming a spiritual person and becoming aware of self, aware of how the human animal and the programs that we partake in is such an important factor in changing the mindset. I've recently signed up to do an NLP and a hypnotherapy course to coincide with my healing modalities, which are shamanism and Reiki. So I'm a qualified Reiki master. I'm a practicing shaman. And I pretty much spend...
Let's go back on that, because people who are watching will not necessarily know exactly what we're talking about by us using technical terms.
Okay.
Now, I always understood a shaman to be sort of almost like a druid figure who is actually a healer.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Yeah.
I always thought it was a bit.
A shaman is someone who's aware of the spiritual aspects of reality, and a shaman traditionally within certainly within my call it a sect, probably the wrong choice of words, within my community. So my shaman are from Mexico, who would have been one of the traditional shamanic tribes that were untouched by the conquering Spaniards when they came. They are literally thousands of miles from the coast and thousands of miles up the mountain.
All right.
So
a bit remote.
Well, yeah, what shamanism teaches you basically is.
I was going to say, what happened to Ada? She was on my shoulder.
Is how to hold your space, how to hold your faith and your trust and your belief in something bigger than us. So again, my belief is that there is a creator. Many call it God. There are many different names for it. The universal, all, the quantum field. My belief is it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, you may well be right. I mean,
I would say not always be right. Steve knows he's not right.
But then that doesn't matter.
No.
The important thing is, are you actually making your mind active and probing various things? Because being wrong, there's nothing wrong with being wrong.
No,
and in fact, I think it was H.G. Wells said, you have no idea how ecstatic success can be unless you actually have absolute failure.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, true that.
being wrong is there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I was going to say, I would consider, I call myself a Christian. I go to church from time to time.
Yeah.
When I say time to time, about once every 6 weeks. I have a similar belief to you. There is a creator, but I'm not sure that it's the God that's depicted in the various scriptures.
I don't believe it is. I do believe that there are elements of the religious scriptures of the Bible, the Quran, other religious entities around the world that all the stories share so many similarities in respect to the flood, in respect to the one and only creator. It would be hard not to place your energy, your thoughts, your belief system, because I believe that our existence is based on our beliefs. So what we believe is what we project, and it's what we attract. It's what comes back to us.
You mentioned the flood. Have you ever been to Armenia?
No, unfortunately.
First of all, it's the first country to embrace Christianity as a state religion, and that was way back in 600.
Yeah, well.
And if you look out over the border with Turkey, which is impassable, I mean, the Turks will not allow the Armenians in, so there's a fence along. But you can look out, and you can look out at Mount Ararat, which in itself is a wonderful thing. But of course, on the slopes of Mount Ararat is the wreck of the ark. Yeah. And they are very, very spiritual people. They've got their own sort of little Vatican, and a very spiritual people, if not religious.
Yeah, I think it would be remiss to think that the religious texts and the stories that they share, they literally have the same stories within the different community sects.
Absolutely.
It would be almost improbable to not even question that or not even have a belief in that.
Yeah.
So I mean, traditionally within the Mexican traditions, the shaman would be the one that holds the faith and the space.
Right. And that's your religion, if I can put it that way.
That's my spiritual leaning. It's my belief. I don't see it as a religion, although we do hold the creator in the highest esteem, because in essence we're all the same thing.
Yeah, right.
I believe we're all God's source, part of the creator, part of the quantum field. And scientifically, quantum physics proves this. You can split an atom and take it to two different parts of the world, and what happens to one happens to the other. I believe we're brothers, family.
Yes, I think that I think there are an enormous number of things that we simply do not understand, and while embracing them does require a certain element of confirmation or proof, Denying them should also have a similar proof before you say no, it doesn't exist or it can't happen.
It has to be quantifiable, right? Because that's what we're taught. That's what we're told. It has to be scientifically proven for us to base any of our foundations of belief on it. But I don't believe it does.
No, well,
I
believe, the word faith
believe.
really is it isn't a word that describes anything of substance.
No, you're having faith in an entity that we can't perceive, we can't feel, I'd say we can't connect with, because I believe through meditation I can tap into what I define as source, as spirit. For me, it's a resonant feeling from my heart. I get goosebumps on my arms, my hair stand on end. It's amazing. But don't get me wrong, it took me 6 months to master the meditative state, to allow my human mind, which I believe runs autonomously through the programming of society, of family, of media, bless you. So there are good elements, but also there are, love and light, right? There's darkness and there's light. The light can exist without the dark, and vice versa.
Absolutely. Right, carry on with. I will interrupt you from time to time to get an explanation.
No,
but actually, in that explanation, it was to me, it's very satisfying. So,
well, it's nice, and I appreciate that. We all have an opinion. We all have a story to share, and that's what makes this world such an incredible place. The fact that we can share our mixed experiences with each other, and as long as you're not living in a point of ego or arrogance, and you can accept other people's opinions as fact, as their truth, then everyone should get on a lot easier and better than we seem to be in society and on the planet right now.
Yeah, absolutely. The planet's in a mess, isn't it?
Well, unfortunately, I believe. I mean, you are the exception to the rule, because I know that you speak from your heart and that you speak your truth. However, there are corporations that don't necessarily have the best intent or the best interests of the human population at its core. The corporate entities are money-making entities.
Yeah.
There is no love. There is love within, from the people within, but I think from a corporate structure, they're there to make money.
Yeah. I mean, I sometimes read about where some wrongdoing has been uncovered and so on, and and the first thing that goes through my mind is, how could anybody do that? Before I start to think about it and think, well, yes, there is evil in this world, and that quite often evil comes with a smiling face.
Yeah, true. Yeah, but I believe the only way we can change this, going to war doesn't achieve anything. It just perpetuates death and destruction and funds the corporate industrial complex, the military complex. Rising up against our leaders, again, the same, right? It doesn't achieve anything, and this has been proven time and time again. Rebellions don't generally achieve what the rebellers intend them to achieve. It might instigate some changes, but it doesn't really change the bigger picture. Unfortunately, we fall back into these self-perpetuating habits that the world leaders enjoy, doing and funding their friends with various benefits. And
sometimes the good people are being used by bad people.
There's infiltrators in every aspect of reality in our history, right? Even the religious sects, even within the tribes, even within smaller bodies of people that are dissenters, that do wish to speak up against the narrative, that do want to make changes. But let me just flip back to what I was talking about, certainly with respect to mental health.
Yes.
Making the change has to be a conscious change. It has to be something that starts here, never mind here. I've had my times in my life of depression. I've had thoughts of suicide. But mastering self, for me, the universe is mental key. If you can master the universe, your mind, you can take care of anything. You can achieve everything you want to achieve, right?
A healthy state. But as you said, it's sometimes it's very difficult to overcome negative thoughts. I mean, I'm somebody who sees the glass half full. But occasionally, and I mean, this past week actually, is a stupid thing that triggered it, is the fact that the bloody passwords, I kept on falling foul of them until in the end I was ready to throw the computer through the window. And that depressed me. That's not a serious depression, really. It's me, but it's not to other people. So when you actually look at the question of mental health, the overall question of mental health, is what is it that you actually take a look at first?
Oh, for me, it was, let's have a look, my defining factor was actually body. So normally it would be mind, body, spirit. Yeah, take care of your mind, take care of your body, and take care of your spiritual requirements. But actually, I'm changing my diet, changing my energy, my physicality, stopping eating processed foods. Vegetarian, so I don't eat meat. I barely touch dairy products. So I believe feeding the human animal, your spaceship, your avatar, and getting that in balance is imperative to allowing work to begin on the mental state. It's very, all three are very finely intertwined, in all honesty, but from my experience, healing the body first by feeding it the right ingredients, the right energy, surrounding myself with the right people, positive people rather than negative people.
Right.
So again, another belief I have is we are energetic beings. We are angels, God, source, the universe, quantum field exist in the human animal. Our meat suit dies at some point, but I believe, I'm not mistaken, at the point of death, we lose something like 5 pounds, which is unquantifiable in the realms of understanding, but I believe that's the soul exiting the physical body. The body becomes wormwood, right? You become compost, essentially.
Yeah.
But there's an essence, there's a spirit.
You just shed the carrier.
Yeah. There's a spirit within us, right? So that spirit, I believe, is energy. And energy can, neither be destroyed nor created, only transformed.
Right. Now, how strict a regime do you impose upon yourself when it comes to diet?
I was very strict at the beginning, certainly with regards to my healing. I found certain food groups made the disease worse. So intuitively cut out said food groups. But as the years, it's been 2 years now, as the years have progressed, if I fancy a bit of meat, if my mind or my body says have a piece of turkey, I'll have a piece of turkey. I'm not so regimented that I will punish myself. I deny my human what it requires, what it desires. I try not to eat processed foods, chocolate, crisps, snacks, sugary stuff. No, I barely go into the supermarket. I'd rather buy my fruit and veg from the fruit and veg man.
In the precinct, lovely, and it's lovely.
Exactly. I'd rather go see Paul, the fishmonger. I'd rather go to the bakers and buy my fresh sourdough bread.
Yeah.
Because I don't agree with the corporations, the processed, the emulsifiers, the additives, the e-numbers.
I prefer things without.
But I do believe that has an impact. That has an impact on the mental health because it's very conjoined: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. Having all four in balance is important. It's imperative to creating the best version of yourself. And this wasn't me 3 years ago. I've changed myself mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually.
How have you changed physically?
I'm a lot healthier than I ever was. I mean, I work.
Were you fat?
No, not at all.
You've always been
blessed. I've been blessed. Spirit blesses me that I've maintained 80 kilograms most of my adult life from about 18, 20-year-old.
Really?
And I'm now 50. And I feel on top of the world.
Just a youngster.
I'm still a top. You're not much older than me, Chief.
Only about 30 years.
Oh, I'm looking a day over 21, so.
You can come in anytime. Okay, so we attack the physical body and try and put that into shape. before the next stage. What's the
Oh.
next stage?
Attack, probably a strong word, but yeah, certainly remedy the products that we put in ourselves. Be more conscious of what you're eating, what you're consuming. But that covers a whole range, not just food. The people that you surround yourself with, the TV programs and the papers that you engage in, the stories that are told. You know, if you surround yourself with negative energy, Keith, then you attract the same energy.
Yes. Oh, yes. I can actually go along with that. Yeah. Very much so.
If you can be positive and project positive, I truly believe that you attract that positive. We attract healing in my world through love, through positivity. Like a placebo works, right? Because people believe it's going to work.
So
I believe what you believe has an effect.
Yes, no, I'm sure you're right.
You choose to engage in negativity in any format, whether it's food or people or even the workplace. You know, there are detrimental aspects of the human that we're not really consciously aware of only just becoming aware of through this mass awakening that seems to be going on across the planet.
Well, it's very interesting you should say that. As you know, we have Liza Page on at the moment, but just in case you didn't know, she's in hospital at the moment.
Oh, wow.
She had pancreatitis. She thinks that she'll be out in a little while. But, I mean, she is very adamant about food and her beliefs and so on and so forth. Very, almost to the point of obsession. I mean, better that than.
There was a little bit of obsession at the beginning. I've got to be honest. That was with a view to allowing the healing to take place. But I do believe if you can find balance in the body, i.e., what you put in is what you put out. You know, what you put out is what you receive. Right. So if you can eat the right food, surround yourself with the right positive energy, people, places, experiences. You know, being out in nature is healing. Grounding is healing. Meditation is healing. You know, spirituality, religion is healing. If you choose that for yourself. That allowed me to start to rewire my own mentality. Years of programming from the state, education, societally, media, TV, papers. You know, I think that we're fed this consistent negative energy stream, which keeps us locked in that same energy stream, that negativity. And if everyone's feeling, if we're energy beings, everyone's feeling that negative, we're promoting, we're putting that negative energy out to the collective, which just perpetuates the same energy.
I don't actually quantify either my own views or the views of this television station. What I would say is we strive very hard not to have any isms.
Yes.
All we look for is either people who are interested, or topics that are interesting, or people who are capable. After that, we don't question too much. Perhaps we should question a bit more. But at least I think that we're on the right way, because all the papers are always full of racism, sexism, ethnicism, terrorism, all sorts of isms. And we like to boast that we haven't got any isms on this television. In some ways, we're surrounded a bit more by positive energy than most.
It's funny you say that, because it just reminds me of a paragraph that I put in my book. So I've wrote a couple of books now. I mentioned the isms. I mentioned that need from society to create an ism that creates more trauma, more stress, more crises, gas, electric, war, recession. It's not. We're not doing this to ourselves. This has been done by those that we choose to put into power. And that frustrates me, although I don't allow it. That frustrated energy.
No, I mean, it's the price of so-called democracy, isn't it?
Oh, is it democracy?
Democracy is taken a funny twist.
Well, democracy is, freedom of speech, right to travel freely. Having people that have our best intention at heart. It doesn't appear to be quite that way. So.
I read something very interesting the other day. I thought, because I think that we should continually think about how we're governed and how we put people in power and so on and so forth. But I don't know where I saw it, but apparently democracy has mooted as being in Athens, which was a true democracy. Every citizen had a vote, but it only lasted for about 6 or 7 months. It wasn't a panacea, because it was unworkable. And actually, if you really want to see a similar situation, look at the last days of Theresa May's government, where the backbenchers were really, it was anarchy. They were running the country. I think that we also should make an effort to straighten out history. Because, as they say, history is always told by the victors.
The problem there is our own history, and this is proven, can be changed in a generation. We can change the stories within a generation, and the next generation believe what they're told.
Well, that's old, yeah, that's right.
And it's a sad state of affairs. But I'm not surprised through programming. Again, for me, TV, education, society, it's off the form of programming. Right? We're taught to sit in the classroom for 8 hours a day and we're going to go to the top.
Yeah.
But we're taught that that's the right way to think. Go to school, get your education, go to work, conform to the narrative.
Yes. Is either of your books moot a different way of doing things?
The books very much follow my path from the beginning of what I believe was a manifestation of my illness through non-intent. As I said, where thought goes, energy flows.
Right.
So what I put out was the wrong intent. It was non-intent. However, what I got back was something more than I'd expected. But realizing potentially what I've done, I've gone on to, I'll say heal, because I'm pretty much at the end of my journey, and I am almost healed.
Right. Now, when you're healed and when you ended your journey, what was the next move?
For me, I plan on moving to Mexico, actually.
To
Mexico on Sunday.
Don't you feel that you have a moral duty to spend at least some time here passing on?
Yes.
Being a shaman?
Yes. And I am. I've now developed a coaching program, if you would, where I can help other people. I've wrote 2 main books. I wrote an ebook which synopsizes my healing journey, which I give away for free, and I will give details out in a future podcast when we do something together. But yeah, my hope is that through my books, through my coaching course, through my ebook, through my knowledge, through my knowledge and my experiences, that I can pass that information on. That I can help the collective, my brothers and sisters, my family, with their spiritual awakening journey. But I mean, everyone's on a different level. We're no different. Right? I don't see myself as above anybody else, Keith. But some people are waking up and some people aren't.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think there's a difference between being different and being better or worse. I don't think necessarily we should make that sort of judgment.
Well, I think I don't live in my ego, so I don't see myself as bigger or better than anybody else. We're no different, right?
But accomplished in a certain field.
Experience dictates our thought patterns, our processes, and not everyone. Well, we all have different journeys.
Yeah, that's right.
One of us.
I mean, I like to think that perhaps I know a little bit more about life than most. I've been to 60 countries and I've worked in 40.
Yeah.
And you can't help but get that stuff rub off on you. You don't have to sit down and open up a book and sit in a classroom.
Yeah.
It's that when you're in a given environment, it rubs off, whether you like it or not.
Even something as beautiful as a short conversation with someone in the street, planting the seed for the Keith, to allow someone to potentially look back at a later point in their own life and go, is sufficient. And it happens for me. I do TikTok. I do TikToks not every day, but pretty much a few times a week, sharing my story, sharing my love, sharing my positivity.
Well, it's interesting you should say that, because when I was going to London quite regularly, and I thought one day, I see all these people going by, so I'm going to start to say good morning to them, which I did. And I got 80% return of people looking a bit surprised and said, "Oh, good morning."
Yeah.
And it actually made me feel good.
I do the same thing in town, and it's funny. I'm dressed quite calmly today, but normally I would say hippie clothing, but I like to dress colourfully. I believe colour heals, frequencies heal.
It's nice to have colour, I think.
Yeah. Perfect. Purple represents the higher consciousness, so it's.
But I often wonder is we see people sort of busy going backwards and forwards, and I can be very scathing in describing people, but I sort of say, well, the trouble with Nero's is that you've got the middle class wife whose husband is in town. She comes in with her dog and her child and so on and so forth, and meets somebody else, and they talk napkins. And then they go home and they cook a meal and so on. There's no sort of life,
No.
but they seem to enjoy it. Those are the people I need waking up a little bit.
This is, for me, that's the programming, right? We literally get out of bed in the morning, you have your shower, your wash, and your breakfast, you go to work, you do your day's work and have the conversations you have, you come home, have your dinner, you go to bed. You do the same thing 5, 6 days a week.
Yeah.
That's for me, that's no life.
No.
I'm quite happy getting up, going to Nero's, have my coffee, have interesting conversations with like-minded souls and random strangers that I generally meet there. And it's lovely because sharing the story, sharing the energy is what makes the change.
Yeah, absolutely right. One mild success story of mine is when I started the Reuters program of the Coast to Coast business program in America. The New York anchor was a lady called Melissa Conti, and I was told, now be buoyant because she's bubbly and so on and so on. So my first time in front of the camera, I stood on the balls of my feet and sort of wiggled and so on and so forth, and she loved it. And over the 10 years that the program lasted, we became good friends. And guess where she now broadcasts? On Mirador.
Oh, really?
Every Friday. Yeah.
But that's a testament to the relationship that you spend the time and energy building.
Absolutely. She's lovely. It doesn't mean to say that she doesn't have some forceful opinions and so on and so forth, but those are the sort of friendships that you like.
I like being challenged, Keith, and I think that's part of the learning process is to understand that your opinion is not 100% right 100% of the time. Your thoughts are based on your experiences, but you are not your thoughts. You are not your experiences.
Yeah. Now, time always goes faster than we think. We're all right, but I don't want us to escape the third part of your trilogy. In other words, the spiritual side of things. Now, how do you develop that? And what I mean, it's a bit gauche to say what do you look for, but just so people understand what I'm asking.
So we're taught to look outside of ourselves. No disrespect to yourself, just my opinion. We're taught to look to religion. We're taught to look to our work leaders. We're taught to seek outside of ourselves something bigger than us. For me, what triggered my spirituality was meditation. Actually, we spent a lot of time self-reflecting, sitting in silence, trying to meditate. And it took me about 6 months to tap into spirit, to connect to source, to get a feeling in my heart, which actually started off in my solar plexus. I found myself at a festival the first year of healing, and I realized that the energy had risen from my solar plexus up to my heart, and I could feel that energy spanning out across the field where I was sitting looking down at this festival. So yeah, for me, spirituality was triggered through meditation. I've always been a questioner, so I've always been searching for that. I was raised a Christian kid, so I'm not averse to religion. But yeah, meditation, and with regards to the mental health, meditation definitely helps because it allows you to quiet your mind to override the human animal, the programming. Another good tip that I used was affirmation. So even something as simple as "I love you," "I'm sorry," "I forgive you," "thank you," to yourself primarily, but that then goes out to the collective. If I'm right,
Yes. I think you're right. Actually, Ada, who you just met, who's the cleaner here, but we call her part of our support staff, and she gets here, and each morning she phones her grandson or grandchildren and gets them up and gets them going from here. And she always ends by saying, "I love you." And I said, Ada, that you're the most impressive lady. Anybody who says, "I love you." And my late wife and I, we could have some right barneys, as couples do. But we always made sure that we never went to bed without saying, "I love you." And I think that the expression of the word, I mean, some people curl up and I'm not saying "I love you," that's soppy. On the contrary, I think that it's a beautiful thing to say, it's a beautiful thing to mean, but it actually fulfills a certain spirituality by saying it and meaning it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think self-love is something that we're taught to forget. Yeah.
Yes,
we put our energy. Our energy goes out to wherever we place our thoughts, rather than valuing yourself, your life, your character, your experiences. You can't change your past. You can change now. You can be conscious of now. Technically, the past, the present, and the future is now, Keith, right? Right,
yes,
conscious in the moment,
yeah,
and enjoying what you do, as you do with Murdoch,
yeah,
as I do with my carpentry and my conversations and my morning coffee with Murdoch.
Yeah. Tell me this: you are very articulate. Where does that come from, or have you always been?
Spirit. Spirit. I open myself, give myself to spirit 2 years ago when I started my healing journey. I live in a caravan on a cow farm, but my life is quite insular. Kind of went into hermit mode to deal with a separation from my ex-wife after 10 years, and certainly for my healing. But the point came where I literally stood in the middle of the farm talking to God, Spirit, saying, "No, I'm done. I've done as much as I can do. Like, this is in your hands, and if you want me to heal, then by all means, step in and help me heal." Finding peace through meditation, through the affirmation, through the change in diet, change in energy, getting rid of the negative entities in my life that were just bringing me that same stream of negative energy, was all an important part of my mental healing process, my physical and mental and spiritual.
Yeah, no, I'm finding everything you say interesting because I haven't really talked in depth to anybody.
Well, we've never had this conversation, right?
No, we never have. But I actually quite like, for instance, I will go down to the Priory and go into one of those secluded corners where lots of lovely trees and so on and so forth, and the feeling around you is terrific.
Yeah.
And actually, I tell people that I talk to the monks, and I'm the only one that's allowed to. But I mean, basically, I talk to myself, and I feel very good about it. But I don't really like listening to people.
Are you talking to yourself, or are you talking to something more than
Well, maybe, yeah.
I don't believe, having dealt with my depression and having had thoughts of suicide, I can reflect back in my mind when I had the specific thoughts of suicide, and they weren't my thoughts, Keith. They come from somewhere else. So I'm very much I can't not believe that potentially there are other darker entities within our reality that have an effect, could potentially have an effect on our psyche, on our mind. I'm very aware that the government have directed energy weapons that can manipulate hearing, that can disable the person using frequency, using energy. I'm led to believe that they have. I'm led to believe lots of things, and I try not to skirt into the conspiracy, for lack of a better word. But no, question it. I think it's healthy to question.
Yes.
I think it's healthy to question self, question your feelings, your thoughts, your emotions, your morality. That's why I try and keep myself elevated to this state, because I enjoy being like this. I enjoy being positive. I very rarely slip into the old habits, the old ways, the old program. And if I do, even now, 2 years later, I still drop into I am compassion, I am gratitude, my Reiki presets. Or I love you, I'm sorry, forgive you, thank you. To remind myself that I'm loved, that I forgive myself for stupid mistakes I might have made. I apologize to whoever needs my apology. That thanking myself for the realization that I am something more than my human animal, my experiences, my thoughts.
Yes. Yes. Actually, just going back to the government having various machines, is I tend to think that when something is put into fiction, like the James Bond novels,
Yes.
is that they are done on the basis of some fact.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So all those machines that he makes us believe are, out of this world,
Yeah.
are really in this world. We just don't know about them, and that they're being used.
The truth's coming out, right? So most people are aware of HAARP, their high altitude research program, I think it's called, where they literally manipulate weather patterns.
Yes.
Let alone conspiracy or not, the cloud seeding. I've witnessed the sky being. You can't even say clouds. The vapor coming from the tail of a plane and not dissipating like water vapor should.
Yes.
Hanging around and dispersing.
Well, I've been in Moscow on Moscow Day, and the mayor of Moscow has the clouds. I think it's silver nitrate or something of the sort.
Barium,
and they spread it across the clouds so that on that day it does not rain.
Yeah.
And it doesn't.
Yeah, but it's incredible technology. But the outcome of that is, how does that barium, strontium, how do the metal elements relate to our human animal?
Yeah,
it causes an imbalance, right?
Yeah,
because we're actually putting stuff in the sky which is going to come to the land, into the water course, into the food, let alone the environment.
Yeah.
And Mexico last year, Mexico were the first country to outlaw cloud seeding, if we can call it cloud seeding, whatever they call it. They were the first country to stop that, which is beautiful. That's how it should be. The
authoritarian regimes don't necessarily take that into consideration
when
they're thinking about what they want as the end product. The end product is, I want all these citizens of Moscow to think that I'm great. So when it comes around to election time, they'll vote for me. If I'm poisoning them in between time, is tough.
Whoops, sorry, I didn't know. Like I said, I postulate lots of theories and.
Now let's just go back to the spiritual side of things, because how do you you run clinics or seminars or whatever?
Yeah.
How do you actually set about approaching the spirituality side of things?
I think it's very finely interwoven with all the aspects of humanity. As I said, I've just started an NLP course, so neuro-linguistic programming, which scientifically quantifies what I'm discussing. Changing the program, changing the habits, changing the mindset, because that's the only way you can truly shift the energies that I believe we've been kept in. Spirituality, it's a choice, Keith, right? You can choose to be spiritual or not. You can choose to continue doing whatever it is you're doing. And as long as you're happy, I don't see it making any difference. As much as I wish for the whole population of the planet to be more spiritually astute and happy and full of love and light for the brothers and sisters, for the community, for the family. There's people that are happy going to work every day and doing
Yes, true. But I think that to me, spirituality it means a little bit more than that. It means taking the emphasis in your life away from the practical things. Some practical things which perhaps don't bear up.
Well, it's funny because no, it is funny because again, although I try not to put my energy out to something bigger than me, I ultimately do still do the same thing. I believe spirit, God, the universe, necessarily give it all of my energy. I think conscious that it potentially exists beyond our very limited sight, auditory, sensual senses, essentially. Yeah, giving your energy away to anything is probably detrimental, but being more conscious of yourself and what potentially you are.
Why detrimental? I mean, is most of our beliefs, I'm avoiding using the word religion, most of our beliefs, we would say that it's a duty to share these things and to accept that sharing is part of the program.
Well, I think from my understanding, as long as you can keep, so for me, 10% to spirit, 40% to myself, and then I can afford to give the other 50% out to people through conversations, through even without a conversation, you're aware of your subatomic level, we're energy, right? We're atoms, we're frequency matter. We're contained in this amazing torus field, this energy that surrounds the human animal, everything, the planet has its own torus field, positive and negative, and the energy flows out of the top, the background, and back into the bottom, which I believe is where the angel connotations come from, because they look like an angel wing, looks like an angel shape. So yeah, we can choose to give our energy away for free, as long as it's the right sort of energy. But we do need to maintain an element of that energy to ourselves. And I think if you can give a percentage of that energy to spirit, God, whatever your belief system.
The Roman Catholics believe that everybody's got an angel on their shoulder. You've got a personal angel.
I also believe we have a devil on the other shoulder. Like the cartoons.
But you do believe in the angel?
Yeah, I believe in the angel, but I also believe in the devil, because for me, this.
Oh yes, I think that no yin without yang.
No, this is balance, right?
Yes.
So you can't just be love and light and pure joy and affection, because that doesn't make sense. I believe the universe is finely balanced, literally hanging on a thread, and it could go either way at any moment, right? It would take a lot for someone to go, what does that button do?
Yeah. Now, somebody comes along or hears that you're throwing these seminars, let's call them seminars for the sake of argument, and says, I would like to come. What is it that you would want them to be displaying? I mean, if somebody said, I don't believe in any of it, but I'll come and see, would you welcome them as much as somebody who says that you would?
Yeah, that's fine. Right. Okay. Because I'm not arrogant enough to believe that I am 100% right 100% of the time.
Okay. What if they decide? What if they turned out to be quite negative in everything and didn't alter their point of view?
Then that's their choice. I can't, like I said, I can't change.
You wouldn't feel that it would affect.
I wouldn't feel like I failed. All I can do is be the best version of myself and spread the journey, the story, the information, the experiences that I have. And some people may or may not relate to that, and I have to accept that. And it's sad. For me, it's sad, but for them, not so.
But for instance, in this business, you'd learn to treat people according to their attitudes. Some people, for instance, I have to shout at, and others I'm very diplomatic with, to try and keep them on track. So I'm aware of the vast array of different types of people that we have in the world, really.
Well, in town, never mind the world.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting, for instance, is I think that the military, for instance, are schizophrenic. If you meet a military person on duty, there is absolutely no give whatsoever. And yet a soldier or a sailor or a flyer, pilot, that they are the most interesting people in downtime, as it were. So, yeah, how do you handle the schizophrenia, if you like?
That's a good question. I think just accept that it is. Accept that it is that way, that they are that way because of their experiences, their programming, their whatever has created that. Right? Everything has to be right, everything's balanced. So yeah, you choose to accept other people. We're all different. No difference being in town and saying good morning to someone, having them go and put the blinkers on and walk straight past you.
Yes, that's right. I mean, I must say, I put that down just to social ignorance.
Everyone has their own lives, Keith.
Yes, that's right.
Even, you can't get upset because your sister hasn't rang you for 2 weeks when you know your sister's got her own life and she's doing her own thing.
Yes, and different things are important to us. We're not all the same.
No, otherwise it'd be really boring.
Yes, it would, wouldn't it? Right.
We're heading towards the
We're heading. It's about 53. Yes, 7 minutes to. We got a couple of minutes left. Now I've peppered you with questions. I think that we haven't done a bad job in covering the topic as a first thing, but I think you need to come back and 2 or 3 times to do some detail.
This story is way deeper.
Yes, but when you first sat down here almost an hour ago, and you thought, right, okay, Keith said he wants me to feel I can do whatever I want. How close have we come to it between us over the past hour to what you actually would have liked to have done or anticipated doing?
Oh, 100%. In fact, probably over 100%.
Oh,
my intention was to broach the mental health and how we can reprogram the human animal to think and feel better, certainly through physicality, mentally and emotionally and spiritually. But again, it's a choice. We're all given free will. That's the beautiful thing about being a human being on this planet is we can choose what we want to do. We don't have to follow the rules. We have to abide by the legality of the universal laws. Do no harm to anyone. Treat other people how you wish to be treated. There's the kindness and the love aspect of this reality. But there's other elements that I choose not to engage with. However, I think we've hopefully been quite interested.
I think so. I mean, I found it interesting.
It's good to get some feedback. As I said, I have many theories and postulations about reality. Never mind my own experience.
This is probably for another time, but do you have your own thoughts about why there is this surge in mental health problems? Particularly amongst the young.
Yeah, I can put it down to several factors. One being the food, the ultra-processed foods that we seem all too willing to feed ourselves and our children because we don't value our time the way we should value our time. It's quicker to put a ready meal in the oven and give it to your kids than it is to cook them fresh. 2, definitely these things. These are a bugbear and a bane on life and society. As a child, I was forced to go out and play. Keith. Go out and play, come back.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we went out and played hard. I'd come back many times after dark. I got told off for it.
Yes, and with a scar or two.
I didn't spend the whole day looking for validation outside of myself, which ultimately is what social media and the phones do allow. When you've got the likes of Zuckerberg that won't even give his own kids a phone, there's a reason behind that, Keith, right? Environment, I believe, has an impact. The human animal needs something like 102 minerals to sustain a healthy being. Many of the foods are lacking in them. The environment is heavy in toxins, pollutants, traffic, brake dust. Let alone the things that we believe they potentially seed the clouds with water, the same. It's now full of microplastics, another great human invention. So all these things, I believe, have a detrimental effect on the human being, which I then believe has an effect on the human mind and ultimately soul.
Interesting. Interesting, to say the least. I look forward to you returning and giving us the benefit. I mean, it is fascinating. It doesn't matter whether people out there agree with you or not agree with you. Is as I said, you are very literate, very articulate, and you explain things extremely well. So whether they will go along with them or not, they understand them.
Beautiful thing is, it's free will, right? It's consensual. This whole reality. You can choose to accept my knowledge, my experience, my understanding, or you can form your own based off the slightest seed that I may or may not have planted, or you can continue in the same vein with whatever you do, because we're all given free will, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
But yeah, I go to Mexico Sunday, so maybe we could even do a live podcast from Mexico.
As long as you've got internet and the phone, yes.
It has its place.
Yes. I mean, you've got my email.
I will deal with the details in a minute.
Yeah. Take the email and just send me a thing and say, I'd like to come on such and such. Actually, it'd be fascinating for you to come from Mexico. How long are you there?
2.5 months.
Oh gosh, yeah. You could do a series, couldn't you?
Yeah, I have a friend who's setting up a new community, and the plan is to go and help out with the infrastructure for the community, which is a very ecologically minded cob house, solar power, rainwater harvesting, biodigesters, crops, allotments.
Oh, splendid. All right. Yes, well, we'll expect some regular reports.
No problem.
Yeah, that's terrific.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Steve. And I'll be gone for about 10 minutes, and then I will see you again. But in the meantime, let me remind you that I'm in the Black Horse, where you can get a really splendid. Actually, Steve walked in today and said, "Oh, what a lovely pub," and he's right. It's a pub,
it's nice.
and nothing better than to have the Sunday lunch here, because it really is a very, very good lunch. But also, if you're a rugby nut, you can watch on Saturday. You can watch England against Scotland. That's going to be a cracker of a match. And also every second Tuesday, second Sunday in the month, they've got a quiz, which is really worthwhile. So that's it for the moment. Toodle pip. See you in a little while.
From Lewis in the Black Horse Pub.
Let's make. I'll drop you an email and we'll sort something else out.
Okie doke.
Lovely. Bye for now.
Bye.